this is what we're assigning them. This is what their plant can pump today, 300,000 gallons. We assigned them 227,000 gallons.
So their pumps are going offline though, right? They'll get all
That's
their
the
water
plan.
from 3C.
That's right.
So their actual usage is somewhere in the high 100,000.
Looks like they're using, I mean, you have to take the average of all those numbers, but 150,000, 200,000.
So they are 30% or so less than us already. I
That's
think
the
that's what everybody was
data.
asking.
Yeah.
That's just really clear.
Yeah, that's the
That's
data.
what everybody was asking.
Yeah.
We're using 250, they're taking about 180 or something like that.
They're using about 180.
Because all their restaurants aren't.
Right. And they got
Working.
vacation homes.
And you guys gotta remember, their property sizes are a lot different than yours here. 50% of all water use is usually irrigation. So they don't have real big lots, they don't have a lot of outdoor irrigation.
Secondary homes too.
Yeah, probably secondary homes, rentals, you know, so again, there's a lot of different factors that impact water use.
With the 60-100 off ramps, I wasn't around when those two numbers came about. Has there been any talk of having like a 15 or 20% off ramp?
That's between you guys and the attorneys to negotiate, whatever you want to do. The problem with the 15 or 20% is you're not going to get a lot of good information by that point. The 60% was kind of designated because at 60%, you've done the geotech, you've got better flavors for what kind of bores you have to do. We know what areas are wet. We've done survey down the whole corridor at that point in time. We have a better estimation of what the numbers are.
I got a question on that. Is there not any kind of grants that we can get to do that sort of, that planning phase, if this is such a...
You are getting a grant. You're getting 100% for the water, and you're getting 80% loan forgiveness from SRF.
I'm talking about for the feasibility study that we're in.
That's the feasibility. We have finished the feasibility study.
So you're in the planning process.
$800,000 has been given to you by the state for W3C. $0 have come from any member. So you've paid nothing so far. We are now ready to move on to the 60% design.
So the 60% is the design.
Is the first half of the design. You do roadway work, you get it, right? So we want to get to the 60% design level so we can have some plans to get some pricing from contractors to really understand what is the cost. Again, right now our estimates are based on the GIS maps, our best available information, with a 35% contingency built on top of it.
Do you have any idea as to what, I know you'll have to be done talking about it, what you gonna charge each entity for water per gallon? So I know you had to talk it.
No, I can tell you what we're going to charge on an
You're gonna
annual
be
basis.
charging each one of us, so that gotta be somewhere in all this 5-year talking.
Yeah, here, let me show you this graph. You know, you always try to figure out what you can, this is the table made by the financial rate analysis for W3C. There's a lot of numbers on here, but you can see Bronson, Otter Creek, and Cedar Key. This was handed out in the public meeting today at W3C. I'm sure there's extra copies. But this is the charges for each of the entities based on the percentages we've talked about.
Because see, my main thing is I'm worried about how Bronson is gonna make money. Because if you charge them, you know, just say 40 cents per gallon or something, you know, and you use so much, and they're gonna charge the customers. So I'm afraid their bill, you're saying $87. Bronson gotta make money to pay employees and to pay bills. So you're talking $87, and I'm figuring, okay, that 87 in 6 months is gonna be $187 you're gonna charge for us to actually make Bronson work. See, that's what I'm trying to figure out. How much have you all assessed? Okay, we're gonna charge each.
This is what we're charging.
Not counting the other
This is
stuff
what
that
we are charging each entity. What Bronson charges to run and maintain their system, I can't answer that. So, and this was handed out today as well. All right, we ready to go to moving forward? A lot of great questions, and I appreciate the dialogue. I'm happy to be here. I know a lot of people need verification. All right, so our next milestone. Oh, we didn't get to the list. Okay. 60% design. Right now, that is 87% funded by DEP through SRF, either through the water grant or the 80% offset of the wastewater. Below is each member's obligation. These numbers are the same I showed you before to get to that 60% based on those percentages that we've been giving you. Again, those are the payments and that's your obligation. That's your financial commitment.
Why is our more?
Because of the percentages of flow.
But still, you get all the resources. That's just, I don't understand.
Maybe we can rework it where it's
They
flow
get the
plus
resources,
mileage,
why would we have to pay?
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
I'm happy to let the
We
attorneys
just
figure
want,
that
we
out.
just want Cedar View to be more than Bronson.
A lot of
That's all
people
we care
have actually
about.
said that.
There's legitimacy to that.
Right.
You have to pump the water
It's
down
gotta
there, it's
go there.
already here.
And so they're paying the same and it's only been pumped to half.
There's legitimacy to that.
There's a lot more electricity to go all the way that way.
And it all the sewage pumping back to Bronson.
It should be
is
more
their cost.
expensive to get clean water in Syracuse. That's why you gotta put your house on still.
Mr. Lloyd.
So just some of your,
But yeah, I'm happy to, any negotiate, any points like that you guys want me to take back, I'm happy to do that.
I mean, that's a good one, and I've been asked that a lot, a lot.
so
About the cost,
Mileage,
the
Yeah.
mileage,
Yeah,
the
how-
higher rates for further
Yeah.
distance.
yep.
I was definitely talking about that.
So- obviously, the more connections you have, the more revenue to offset these costs. We've talked a lot about that. We've talked about the BMAP and the reduction of nitrogen that's going to be required eventually. So the need to extend your water and sewer mains to connect to residential and institutional customers, don't think of it just about residential, do you want your Dollar General here? Do you want other developments here in your city? You have your BMAP requirements. You do have an appropriation request in for $1.3 million to do the engineering and design to connect 270 properties, which is the estimated cost of $18.5 million. Those are all things you got to think about as you're thinking about this. There was some discussion in one of these meetings about your existing water plant. Yes, it does have some additional capacity. We've talked a lot about that, but no, it does not treat to the level of nutrient removal that's required by the BMAP. That's been acknowledged by the people that run that facility. We've talked to them to make sure that you have the right information. A little bit about some utility considerations. You still will be looking at, if you want to go alone, about a $12.4 million for $150,000. These are kind of your options that we outlined in those bubbles. Again, $8.6 million for W3C. If you want to do it on your own for the same capacity, $13.5 million is the estimate. And your BMAP consultant came back with $12.4 million for 150,000 gallons. That estimate was completed in 2023. You still have your long-term debt that you're dealing with. Obviously, the offset of revenue potentially from the land sale could help you with that debt. We've talked a lot about that. You're currently paying $23,000 to $69,000 in that scheduled payments, and that payment goes on to 2054 at a 3% interest rate. The interest rates we're talking about are less than 1%. So there is some advantage to trading that out from a financial perspective. And you still have your payments for your commercial meters. Again, another debt that you guys currently have, $696,506. A little bit about the status. We have completed the well. I'm sorry she left, but I'm happy to talk to her after. Just really quickly, the well is there in orange on the left, and on the far right is the agricultural well that we monitored during our pump testing and what we did. Here's a picture of the agricultural well. You can see it right there. You can also see the rig on the left with the production well that's been drilled and put into place. This well does extend 170 feet down. You can see here, you've got a casing to about 120 feet. The water that you're using is being drawn from 120 to 170 feet below the surface casing. So again, this is kind of the design of your well and what happens. During our pumping test, we pumped this well for 3 to 4 hours. This facility, in the long term, will be pumping 375 gallons per minute, which is about 500,000 gallons per day of capacity. That's kind of what we're looking at targeting. The well was pumped, and what happens here is as we pump the well, you'll see the water level here starts. When you pump the well, the water goes down. and you observe what that water looks like 462 feet away in that agricultural well. And so this is the typical curve you would see for a drawdown on a well. So again, we're pumping water out of this well from the top, and we're watching how much water comes down. If you recall that right now we are in a water shortage notice from the Water Management District. Despite that, no complaints were received from any existing wells nearby or around while this test was ongoing. This well was pumped over 3 to 4 hours at different levels. The long-term capacity we're looking at is 500,000 gallons a day, 375 gallons per minute. The well was pumped at 900 gallons per minute at 1.3 million gallons per day. It was then up to 1,350 gallons per minute at 1.95 million gallons per day, and then ultimately at 1,800 gallons per minute. So almost 5 times more than we might actually use the well. We tested it at. That said, in the well itself, we saw 8.9 inches of drawdown, which is virtually nothing. And down in the ag well, we saw less than 0.36 inches. So we saw very little, no drawdown. So we are very comfortable that this well will not cause any impacts to surrounding areas nor the environment. In today's meeting at W3C, that is our professional opinion, but we also heard from the hydrogeologist from the Water Management District who concurred with his initial findings. The next step in this process, if we continue on to the 60% design, will be to submit a permit to use this data to put it into a model to look at the regional impacts, if any, but we don't expect any, and the Water Management District also said today they don't expect any impact to occur. Once the production is finished and the well's done, if we implement the water plant and we really want to have a monitor in that well that's there on the ag well, we can easily put a transducer on that well and monitor that. Again, W3C is you. You tell us what you want, we can do it. This is kind of where we are, and part of the problem that we've had is we do have a lot of money that's been given to us. In March, we have to apply to try to continue to keep that money. So $35 million was given to W3C with the deadline of an application to go back in March. To preserve that money, that application has to be put in. $35 million was the maximum award allowed under this round. We are second in line for the remaining $28 million for the water system. The town of Perry is in front of us. As members or people who were awarded, and there's a long list of people that were awarded money, if they do not get in and submit those applications on time, the state will reallocate those funds to the other people on that list that still need that money. So it's unfortunate. I wish we had more time to talk more about things, to try to answer as many questions as we can, give you as best information as possible. But if we want to preserve our money, the idea will be that we will continue moving forward with the application in order to make sure that the water system is 100% paid for. The wastewater is already agreed to, by the way, as well from SRF. So this is a program of scheduled costs. We have separated the water plan from the wastewater plan. The idea here is that by building all of this infrastructure at the same time on the same site, there'll be some economies of scale, saving money and doing things together. Looking ahead, we have pulled water from the well for water quality testing. We'll be doing that. We have a trip to Tallahassee on January 27th. We're going to be looking for that exemption, meeting with the Deputy Secretary of Funding from the Department of Environmental Protection, along with the legislators, as Amy talked about. And we have to submit the same funding for that $35 million on March 12th. And so that's kind of where we are today. In order for W3C to move forward, this implementation agreement has to be thought about, agreed to at some level, so that this process can continue moving forward. What's driving the speed of all this is this funding process and this availability of funding. Again, there's an offer rate at 60%. Water's 100% paid for. If at 60% you said I want to get on the wastewater but keep on the water, and you sell your land, there's really no cost to you on the wastewater side, because we're buying the land for the water. Those are things to think about, to consider along with your other debt service that you have, along with your VMAP requirements, along with what the state's having, We have talked to the department directly, we've talked to the deputy secretary, we've been able to hopefully set up a call for your city manager to talk to the department directly, so you guys can hear from them what the BMAP requirements are, which you may or may not be facing when it comes to your wastewater.
You keep mentioning if they want to jump out at 60% and they sell the land at W3C, it'll be a net zero. Have they already signed a commitment to sell that land at W3C?
No,
So that's not a have to. If
It's not
they
a have
decide
to.
to step back, they can just pay the bill
they can pay the bill and pay it, but
and keep their land.
they can, that's another option as well.
I just want to make sure that's.
That's right, that's not a have to. I think the current agreement, and I'm not sure if you negotiated it, was a lease agreement to drill the well with an option to buy, but I don't think that anything's been set in stone.
Yeah, that was before my.
I think that was before you. And I think that's the last of my slide.
Is there any, I'm assuming that W3C wouldn't build a facility on land they didn't own, so I mean, there's no chance of a long-term lease, just so the town of Bronson maintains control of the property?
Typically, if the state's gonna give you that kind of money, they're gonna want you to own the property, the entity that holds the loan. Is it a long-term lease possible? Yes. It would be a question for the attorneys to work out with the state. That's gonna be the big restriction. We talked, you guys have been extremely patient. We thank you for your time. I'm sorry if I missaid some things about FEMA or things, that's my bad.
Do you have another set of these from earlier?
We have more copies from earlier.
We do not, but I'm happy if you'll give me your email and actually send in Ms. Roberts here, the presentation, and I'm happy to send it out.
Send it to me. No, send it to me. We could have had all of it.
Thank you, yes, ma'am.
I get it to you.
Is that okay?
Lucy got one.
Well, she sent it to me, I can certainly send it.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. You're always very calming. You have such a nice voice and you explain things very well. Thank you very much.
It is rocket science.
Yeah, I know.
It is.
I get caught up in the technical
And
terms,
I
I
know
get
you
it.
do, Robert. You've put in so much time and you both traveled so far, and I do appreciate you spending the extra time. I mean, you've been here all day, literally, and I just want to say thank you.
I want to thank you, Daniel.
I'm sorry, I've been accused of running my mouth all over the country.
Much needed info, exchanged, and I appreciate it. And
Yes.
again, I thank you for coming. I thank you for this communication last week, because, I was a little frustrated the week before that, so I really appreciate you getting in touch with me last week and talking to me, so.
And we're happy to answer other questions as you guys think about them. Just please give us a call. And we're here to provide you guys information. That's what we want to do.
As far as, just talk to the other attorneys about the high rates for people customers do it further distance, I can talk to them about that. The reason I asked about the earlier off ramp than 60% was to find out if we get denied on the variance, it might, or council might want, I don't know what the estimated time frame is with variance request or anything like that. But I can.
It'd be nice if that's something they can answer really, really quick, so they can get it turned over really quick. Probably not before he needs to submit the application.
Right, that's what did you want me to ask about an earlier off ramp for that reason? I don't know.
Yeah, you can ask that question.
Okay. And then there was, I think the last time I talked about with you guys, the very first version implementation agreement I saw was, I think, from October. And in that, I brought up that 51% estimated usage, we have weighted voting based on those use estimates. The current version doesn't have that, so that all members have an equal vote, which I think we would want the weighted voting if we were the lion's share user, but, we wind up only using 200 accounts and Cedar Key has 1,000, they're at 70%, then they would have. So I don't know if you guys want to push for the weighted voting or just leave it.
You don't know how that.
Right, you don't know how to affect this yet.
It's equal. I mean, it's equal now.
Correct, it's equal now, the current version, you don't push back on that, okay.
Is there a way that we can find out how much it is costing us for water now? I don't really see how anybody up here can make a decision without that information.
if you sold the land, sorry, if you sold the land and you pulled out at 60%, and you're not obligated to buy water from W3C, what's the downside for the town?
We got about $200,000, about my math.
Does it look like a jerk?
Yeah,
If we pulled out at 60%, but that's all we got, so we just look like a jerk?
Looks like a jerk better being broke.
Yeah, just keep, yeah.
I like the idea of paying everything off.
You're still losing the money if you sell the land.
Yeah, the value of the land, we're losing that.
Yeah.
It don't matter if you, yeah.
But spending $500,000 might be the cheapest thing you ever done.
100%. Especially for the citizens out there. In anything, but then again, you know, maybe 100% funding will make change in people's minds. I don't know. Maybe the Tallahassee can come through. 20% of a lot of money is a lot of money. I mean, that's the thing. It's a lot. And that's the only way I can even look at this. It's just.
Yeah. Just remember the 60% off ramp is water and wastewater, so you have to choose on both of them. So you could stay in on the water side, that's fully funded, and just get on the wastewater side, if that's what you choose to do.
That'll probably get additional capacity of water and.
That's an option.
So that don't make sense.
Because we need the sewer.
You have extra water, but you'll still have the wastewater issues to deal with on the
Make
VMAX
sense
side.
at all.
Just keep the land and sell Cedar Key the water.
That would have been the best option in the beginning. That would have been the best option in the beginning, but that's not where we are.
But then you can't get the government funding if you're doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why I did it.
I'm not saying that this W3C might not be the best thing if there's funding for Cedar Key and Otter Creek, but I'm telling you, dumb as I am, I don't spend money that I don't know what I ain't spending. And y'all don't know what y'all spending until y'all get a third party to tell y'all that's the best plan.
And that's been some questions that's asked, just maybe not to the right, all right, not the right person that said, been able to say.
If the man don't tell you, yeah, I'll look at it, and it's gonna cost you $10,000, you talk to the wrong man. Free advice is worth what you pay for.
I'll look at it, Mayor, I volunteer to look at it.
You heard what I said about free advice, didn't you?
It wasn't free, it was $10,000. Right there.
You gotta be qualified to back it up. But if you get $10,000 for looking at it, I mean, my cut.
You can look at some of it with me.
All right, I appreciate it, and like I said, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And, if there's nothing else, then we'll move on.
Yeah, we're gonna zip through these couple hours, quick. So the entity Accenture handles the fire services assessment. They handle the roll, they do their property appraiser, you can see what their schedule is and what their services are for the year, doing trim notices, sending me the resolution that had to be passed, all that stuff. So they are just wanting to up their 3-year contract, and you can see there that it's about $8,000 a year, and we would just budget for that next budget season. So we're essentially paid for their service through this budget year, but this is because of the way they need to be working on the roll for the next year, they need to know now. So it's just continuing that.
I need to vote.
Yes, we need a motion on that.
I make a motion to continue business with Accenture.
Accenture, I don't know, Accenture?
Regarding the Town of Bronson Fire Services Assessment Program.
A second.
I have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
All right, the next item is trying to smooth out our work with the county, with the development department. It's been suggested to us that we need to implement a zoning compliance verification process. This is similar to something Micanopy has and McIntosh have, where their permitting is done in with Alachua County or Marion County, but they have this zoning compliance verification that comes through the town where the town then knows what's being built, what's going on, and charges them for this zoning. We currently, you know, if somebody comes and says, hey, I need zoning right now, I don't have any, I mean, I have a little form that I've been filling out, but I don't charge them anything because we don't have that passed. So essentially, we will need an ordinance, but I need to know what we want to charge.
Yeah, are you gonna mirror what they have? Because I actually talked to, the city of Micanopy,
Okay.
in reference to that, but are you trying to just mirror what they have?
Well, they have two different amounts, and that's what I was just kind of questioning. Micanopy does $50. And Macintosh does 75. Then they have a fee if you've already started your work. If you've already started your work, they're gonna charge you $150. Now, I don't know that that's not, that might fall under some other jurisdiction with code enforcement, but that's a topic for a different day.
But I would encourage you not to start that work.
Well, it might.
Yeah, that's all good.
But as far as us coming up with a form, I'll just kind of mimic both of these. We just need to decide what fee we want to charge.
I will say, this is much needed.
Yeah,
When I went through
I know.
my process, it was a bit of a mess there in the beginning. Even though I'd been okay in Bronson, I really didn't have anything to show in the county. So this is
Well,
good.
it is needed, it's been a learning process, it's not gone terribly smooth, but we're gonna get there. This is the beginning of trying to smooth it out. And I did not know, until I got the copy of the interlocal agreement, exactly what Bronson still had to do, and that it was more than I thought that it was. So I did appreciate the interlocal agreement from both.
Didn't you come to the Dade County Board meeting when it got approved?
Do what?
That doesn't mean I have a copy of it.
You being the town manager, wouldn't you think you got a copy of it?
I
If
did.
you went there and fought on the town's behalf to
I
get it
was
approved?
there just because I was there.
And you
I
spoke
wasn't
to
there,
help-
and
and
I
you
was
spoke to
there,
help
and then
to get
that came up.
Mhm.
I didn't go because it was coming up. I didn't even know it was on the agenda.
I'm just saying, I mean, as a citizen, I would surely expect my town manager to,
Well, I encourage you to come to the office and try to find a specific piece of paper. It's
that's
it's
not
just
my
as
fault.
All right, let's go ahead and get past this right here. I think that, as a matter of fact, I appreciate the conversation you and I had, and getting this put together. It's definitely something that's needed. We need to set a price. I think $50 is probably fair.
I think so.
And it's a way that we can notify the county and know ourselves what we have coming down the pipe when it comes to, zoning compliance or when it comes to permitting and whatever. So this, if I can get a motion, we can get through
Do we
this.
need to vote on the amount?
We'll have to vote on the amount also.
Oh,
I make a motion.
I make a motion to do to implement the zoning compliance verification process and attach a $50 fee, for work in progress.
A second. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
The last item is just, y'all gotten a copy, you know that we've passed the pre-audit, and we're moving on to the audit. What I have discovered is, we do not need two firms anymore.
Okay.
If we're gonna have Beecham and Edwards do our accounting, and I would like to continue with Beecham and Edwards doing our accounting, we only need one audit firm. I would like to get bids from 3 different companies to do our audit.
We need to vote for that.
So I don't really need a vote. I mean, if y'all agree that that's the way we're gonna move forward, then I'm fine with that. I do wanna ask Powell and Jones to be one of those, because they've actually worked pretty well with us as the subcontracted firm. So I'd like for them to be one, and then I'll find 2 others to ask for proposals.
Can we get like a recommendation from Beecham?
He wouldn't give me one.
Okay.
Yeah, we've always only had one, and then all of a sudden there was 2.
The thing is, to have Beecham and Edwards come in on a quarterly basis, and go through our books and keep us centered on that track. I mean, you don't have to have another audit firm or pre-audit firm to come in here and put you back on track. So I think that's what happened when they let him go a few years ago. For whatever reason, I don't know if they thought they were way smarter than him or what, but they let him go, and then they got themselves kind of off kilter, and they had to bring in a second firm to try to get themselves in shape before the audit can actually even occur. So yeah, I think, and I don't usually give people a lot of credit for some stuff, but I think Robert Beecham is one of the sharpest dudes I ever been around when it comes to a number. So yeah, 100%. I think that he's definitely somebody, and we probably have to, get a contract together to make that be the case. But I think he's somebody we definitely want to get on board on a quarterly basis, and then we don't have what we had this year come into what we came into this year with the audit. So yeah, I mean, I think that if this board would, by consensus, we can grant her permission to go ahead and seek 3 firms, 4 firms, whatever, to submit bids to be our auditor for next year, and go from there. But actually try to get an agreement worked out with him to come in quarterly or whatever it takes, and to keep us on track. Gotta be a motion. Gotta be a form motion. I mean,
I'll make a motion for, Mr. Amanda to reach out and get bids for the new auditing firm.
all right, I have a motion and a second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries on that one. Staff reports, you got, public works, you got anything?
Just right quick, I'm looking right here. Our spray fill pump is slinging water. I got a quote from Rowe, well pump. They go to inspect it to see what's wrong with it. It's $3 land for a new pump, which is a bigger pump. It's like 17